Hi everyone. Let's talk a little bit about collisions, or a little bit more about collisions. We have been already using physics, but maybe we want to use some more objects. Yeah. So we could recycle an old cube here from the scene. Let's put in this one. Okay. So, let's see. Very fascinating. Okay, let's use that cube and go to physics and say simulate physics. So maybe this is one of the reasons why it's not working properly. Yeah, see, there you have the gizmo. So I can, if I'm simulating, I can basically move it around and do some more damage if I want. This is yeah, quite hard to destroy. I guess the damage settings are a bit too high. Okay, that looks good. So it's immediately pulverized, kind of fun. Yeah, let's take a look maybe at bring in another object and see how collisions work. Let's bring in another sandstone. So this one is unaltered. Make it a little bit smaller. So you can also add collisions, of course, if you edit the mesh. You can go here and, for example, generate convex collisions. Automatically you will see the mesh and it will have a certain resolution depending on what you put in here. Yeah, and this mesh basically is used for the collisions, and then you can also here enable, like we did before, physics, and we can throw things around. So the next thing we want to do is we want to first of all, we might need to check the plugins. Because we're going to use the chaos field system. Going to make a restart. And then we go to the content drawer and check if engine content is turned on. I think by default it isn't, so better check this. And then we go here and type in master. And we're going to pull this FS master field, and also we are looking for anchor, and we're dragging in an anchor field. Sorry. And what those things do, they can explode objects for us. So for example, this pillar is hit by the boulder above, but this pillar is always standing. So we can, where is it now? We can use the master field and move it here into that pillar. And then we're going to see what happens. And this anchor, we need to tell this pillar that the anchor is what's holding it in place. So we go to init, or we type init here, and then we make a new initialization field and maybe give a little bit more room. And we select the anchor field that we have here in the level. And then we can drop our boulder and see what happens. And you see the base is anchored. It's not moving. And also what you see is that the second pillar, let's check again, it's flying away, kind of. I guess this also has to do a little bit with the shape. Let's maybe change the fracturing a little bit. Let's reset it and fracture it again. I don't know if the fracturing was kind of weird. Sometimes it takes a little while. Okay, there it is. And yeah, let's not cluster it for now. Let's just see what happens with that. It's kind of like a force field, like an explosion, basically. Yeah, so you see it completely explodes the pillar. And we can, of course, increase the damage again a little bit. And you also notice that it takes a second until it explodes. That's because we have a delay amount set here. Yeah, so you can work with those. Let's move this apart for now. So we can also use those fields in combination with our weapons. I will really quickly change the game mode to shooter, and I will bring in a weapon. So there is a weapon. Yeah, this one I will get. Where's the spawn point? Gone. Okay, doesn't matter. Oh, there it is. Yeah, I'm kind of blind. And in that pickup, we're going to select a different weapon type. We will take the grenade launcher. Let's test that. There's the grenade launcher, and as expected, the grenade isn't doing much damage, only to the player. So what we're going to change is the projectile. The BP shooter grenade explosion. So we're going to spawn an actor from class, connect it. To CE trigger. I guess I have to pick the field first, of course. Master field, and then CE trigger, and connect this one to the timeline, which basically plays that expanding sphere. And let's compile it. Okay, we need to put in a spawn transform get actor transform and compile it. Good. save it. And now let's play. There's the gun. Nothing happens. But here the whole thing explodes. This one hasn't been modified, I guess. Yeah, that's just a... This isn't pre-fractured, that's why it's not exploding. Let's fracture this one too, so we have a little bit more fun. Cluster, and I guess we wait a little bit. Ah, new collection. Again, this wasn't a collection. So this is okay, I need to change the name. I guess because we already had that one. Let's fracture it. Let's go back and play a little. So we get the bone color here. I didn't change that. Let's pick up the gun. And yeah, everything's breaking now nicely. So this is, I guess, almost it about rigid body dynamics in Unreal. One last thing, we should maybe look a little bit at the physics settings, because we of course may want to change the physical properties, and for that we have a default physical material that is in most cases being used, and we can of course make our own and change a few settings. So if you go here, you can create a new one, call it test, or let's call it slippery, because we're going to make it a bit more slippery, smoother. Yeah, those are all default settings, and we can select it here and already put it in that object, which is, yeah, kind of the ground collisions, and then we can go in it, and you see different settings here. Friction, for example, is basically the roughness of the surface. If we reduce the friction to 0, this surface will be very, very slippery, like intended. Restitution is basically the bounciness, and then we have density, which is kind of how heavy an object is. So if you have 1 gram per square centimeter, you can increase that if you want something really heavy. And let's save this for now and see what happens if we run our simulation or just play. Yeah, nothing much changed. It still doesn't feel very slippery, sorry, but it is more slippery. The problem is that the other surfaces are not slippery, and that is because they have their own physical properties, and they get basically, I guess, averaged with those values here. So what you can do is you can click override friction combine mode, and instead of average you can, for example, say multiply. So the other value gets multiplied by 0, which means that no matter how rough another surface is, it will slide over this one here. Let's try it. So you see they're like ice skating now. So this is how you adjust the materials of the physical properties of a collision surface. Okay, I guess that's it. Well, about rigid body dynamics in Unreal.